Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Black Real Estate Dialogue Podcast. I'm very excited about this episode. This is our first live episode here in Brooklyn, New York, in Bed-Stuy with Markus Jackson. Thank you so much for hopping on the show tonight, man.
No, of course, Sam. Thank you for having me. Definitely a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
For sure. So first, would love to hear more about what your childhood was like and what you saw or maybe what you didn't see that shaped your view of building wealth.
Initially, my first response to that question would be just not seeing enough, right? Not seeing enough wealth, not seeing enough success, really, like growing up, right? I don't come from a family of money, right? So just not seeing it in my immediate circle and in my immediate upbringing just really like changed my perspective on a lot of things to begin with. In addition to that, I mean, my mom definitely plays a big role in just everything I'm doing now is because, I mean, my mom bought her first property when she was 17, right? 17 and a half. And I think just by her just starting that foundation and just letting me know and showing me that, hey, there's more that you can do from what you see, really just kind of changed it and set it off for me.
Definitely, for sure. And where did you grow up?
I'm originally from Los Angeles, California.
Okay.
So, Inglewood, Los Angeles, California.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you said your mom got her first home at 17 and a half?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what did she tell you about that? How many details did she get into? That's pretty impressive.
No, it is. I mean, we're grateful to still own that property today. But I mean, what she told me was she was working at like a burger joint and located in Los Angeles. She was saving a little bit of money, right? Of course, at that age, right, she needed a co-signer. So she ended up going to her parents and another family member and raising that capital per se to allow her to purchase this duplex. So coupled with savings, in addition to having a support system and having family that was believed in her, she just made it happen, and that property still pays us today. You know,
Wow.
It's a great thing. She's trying to sell it now, but
are you trying to sell it now too?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I want to purchase it, but we're working it out. I'll say that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Is it a single family?
It's a duplex, so it's detached on the same land parcel, just two separate properties.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome, man. For the backstory, Markus and I met last year, maybe like November.
Mm-hmm.
We have a mutual friend, Serena Strickland. Shout out to Serena. She had us speak at an event about our real estate journeys. And the interesting thing is, around that time, we both were very new. I think I had just purchased my property maybe a few weeks before that.
Mm-hmm.
I think you purchased yours
around
that time too.
Yeah, about a month before. Yeah.
Definitely. So before we get into that, tell me more about. I mean, there's a lot of things you could have done, right? You're a Morehouse man. You went to college. You have 9 to 5. What made you want to get into real estate? What was it about real estate where you were like, you know what, this is it for me. This is what's going to be one of the main things that helps me build wealth.
Well, for me, I mean, one thing was, I mean, like I referenced my mom, right? By her doing it, it was just like, wow, that's amazing. The second thing was, I'm now working, right? I'm in my career. I'm now saving some capital, right? Me looking, okay, what are some investment vehicles that I could potentially, pour some of my capital into? I wasn't too crazy about stocks at the time. My whole thing is, if I can't physically or tangibly, like if I can't manage it, right, or someone else is, I'm banking on someone else managing my money and the portfolio and just the market in general. It was kind of hard for me at the time to really ingest, right? And I just looked at real estate as just a wealth building tangible asset, right? I mean, I just really loved everything about it, right? In addition to owning property and having tenants, I just really love the aspect that I can help someone, I can take care of someone, right? I can provide a roof over someone's head, I can really change a life, right? I can really help create the American dream, right? And that was really big for me, the fact that I can make an impact day one, right? Or day two, or just increase and add value to someone's life. Man, I was like, real estate, I'm all in.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's great, man. So walk us through what that first deal was like. How did you figure out where you wanted to purchase?
Yeah.
What type of loan did you use? Mm-hmm. Walk us through like the details of what that looked like.
Yeah, no, of course. So gratefully enough, I have a business partner, right? So at the time, both my business partner and I were figuring out, what additional income stream could we add in addition to having our W-2 career? And we figured that, we were thinking about a lot of different things, right? We ended up doing Airbnb. We were thinking about some app ideas, thinking about starting some businesses, and we figured, we ended up deciding to go half on a property. When I say half, meaning on the down payment. So that process, it was very interesting. We currently live in Brooklyn, right, and we work in Manhattan. So we were looking to buy in New Jersey. We bought in Newark. We didn't really want to buy in New York because the prices are just, through the roof here. And we wanted to buy something that was going to produce us some income. So we thought the prices in New Jersey compared to, the rental income that some of these properties earn, we figured if we buy in New Jersey, we could potentially cash flow a little income from that, right? In addition to that, we were able to buy in New Jersey while working in New York because technically we were able to own occupy a property in New Jersey, because we live within 2 hours. We'll be living within 2 hours of our work, right? So, yeah, that's why we ended up in New Jersey.
Cool. So how did you find that property?
Mm-hmm.
How did you go through finding the right real estate agent or realtor? How did you make that determination? Because I know a lot of people. I mean, there are thousands of people who probably could have helped you.
Yeah.
But how did what was it for you that made you what, this person's aligned with our goals. This person will help us to get where we want to go.
No, that's a really good question. Initially starting off, we ended up with 3 agents. Initially we started with one. The first 2 agents weren't as investor friendly per se. We kind of really figured out that there are 2 separate type of agents here. There are the agents who are investor friendly, who understand multifamily, they understand investments, right? They understand how to analyze a property for the cash flow. Then there's that other agent, right, which is also an amazing agent. It's just that they're more like on the single family, home family type agent, right? And that agent, the first 2 agents weren't able to really help us with our goal initially starting off. So, we went through 2 agents, but then that last agent was investor friendly. We ended up finding him on YouTube actually through a mortgage broker. His name is Peter Boutros with eXp Realty. He ended up helping us a lot. And I mean, we went through about 25 to 26 offers prior to us closing on our first property. Yeah, I know.
25, 26 offers?
26 offers, yeah.
During what
time period?
About how long was that?
I would say
offer one to what finally you got accepted?
Well, I mean, we're going to New Jersey every weekend. I mean, every week actually, every weekend. Every day after work, we're going to New Jersey for about 3 months.
3 months. Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
Yeah. It was pretty interesting, man.
Wow.
To work 9 to 5 and then hop on the subway, right, or hop on the bus and walking in the snow, to find a property. It was very uncommon for us, missing a lot of things on the weekends and doing a lot of things. But yeah, I mean, it took around 3 to 4 months, probably 25 offers over the span.
Wow. Yeah. Is that multifamily?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, multifamily. So we figured if we're going to be using our first time home buying and owner occupying a property, utilizing our FHA as you asked previously, we figured let's try to get as many units as we can, leveraging the FHA, put in 3 to 5% down. Our goal is to get 4 units. Right, because that's the cutoff prior to, and then commercials after that with the 5 units and above. So we was like, hey, let's try to get 4. We ended up with 3, which is perfectly okay, and it's more than enough. Well, it was more than enough at the time. Yeah.
That's awesome. So for your down payment, did you go in with your own money? Did you raise money?
So
combination.
Yeah, it was a bit of a combination. At the time, I mean, fresh out of college. I had about $120,000 in student loan debt, and I had some credit cards and things. So my income that I was earning from my job, my W-2 job, it was going towards my credit card and going towards paying off student loans. So I honestly didn't have a lot of money saved. Probably had around $5,000 saved.
Yeah.
Luckily enough, I found a business partner who had the same vision as I did. and had the same goals as I did, right? And we were able to, split the down payment in half, which was around $25,000. Initially, for my portion, I didn't have it, right? So, my partner was going to pull the trigger without me. But I got really creative and decided to reach out to some people because being that we're buying an income-producing asset, I realized that this property is going to pay us around $1,600 a month, right, in cash flow. That's after the mortgage is paid. We were like, okay, if I'm buying an asset or making an investment into something that's going to potentially pay me every single month, a light bulb went off in my head, and I said, wow, I can actually raise this capital needed to secure this property, right? And then pay that individual back with the proceeds and the capital that that property is going to produce. So I went off and, raised around $15,000, which was my portion, to secure my portion of the project. And then we secured it, and then I paid it back over time.
Wow, that's I don't want to pass over that because a lot of, most of us don't come from money, right? Most of us, it's either you have money for something or you don't. We don't often get creative and think differently, think outside the box. How else can I get money to accomplish this goal? So I think that's really cool that you did that. You didn't stop and say, hey, Lay, I don't have money, go ahead and get in this deal. You didn't do that. You figured it out and you got your portion of the money. So could you talk to us about how you raised that? Was it family and friends? Was it people at happy hour?
No, interesting enough. During that 4-month span of us traveling to New Jersey, every day after work, ended up, in between putting in offers, looking at properties, was also going to rooftops, real estate meetup events in Manhattan, right? One, to meet more like-minded people like us. Number two, meet mentors and people who have the experience that could potentially pour into us, right? And three, look for some private money, right? When you know you're securing a good deal, you feel like it's the best deal ever, right? Regardless of if you're securing something, you feel like it's good, you're gonna want to talk about it, right? So for me, I didn't really want to get family involved, right? I do have family. I do have, some uncles that may have, a little bit extra money. But for me, I kind of wanted to build new relationships and bring in outside people that I can potentially grow with over time. So I ended up reaching out to some people in my fraternity network that understood real estate, understood the vision, and I was grateful enough to secure that financing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what has life been like as a first-time landlord?
It's been, I would say, rewarding. Like I mentioned before, the fact that I can add value and really help someone's everyday life, right? One, by providing a roof over their head, right? And two, by just ensuring that they're happy every single day, right? The fact that I can cater to their need when they call me and something's broken, that I can hop up and fix it, right? There's not a good history of landlords hopping up and fixing things for tenants, right? And I think that's where I wanted to insert myself and be the change there, right? So in addition to me just adding value to tenants in general, it's been great, right? Since COVID, unfortunately, one of my tenants lost their job, and wasn't able to pay for a few months. But fortunately, we were able to work something out. But I think what's been hard for me is just that period of when the tenants don't have the money to pay rent. How do I separate my soft spot and my want to help and business, right? I think that's been a little bit challenging for me to help people, but then still understand the situation, but still pay the mortgage.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely. It's interesting, man. You see all over the internet, there's throughout this period of time, there are people saying, landlords shouldn't be dependent on tenants, and tenants shouldn't have to pay if they don't have a job and so forth.
Yeah.
But I think what people don't understand is there are more landlords who are mom and pop who are not these big moguls than there are Grant Cardones.
Yeah.
So not every landlord is swimming in money and can go many, many months without receiving rent.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that's kind of difficult. What is that interaction been like with the tenant? Like you mentioned that you're at a point where now you're able to work something out. What was it like prior? Was it difficult to do that?
Um, it was difficult to start off, right? It's really hard to really it's really hard to ingest, to be honest. I don't think it hit us as hard because we have two other tenants, right?
Oh yes.
So the two other tenants are paying the mortgage, right? It's the third tenant who's actually, that's the cash flow, right? That's the $1,600 a month. So it hurt, but then again, it's like if you don't have your job, I can't, I can't beat you over the head, right? I can just be understanding. I can just try to implement some type of payment plan or some type of action, or kind of insert myself and do the best I can do. And that's what we did, right? Even though there was north of, let's say, $4,000 I was unpaid, for example, right? We set up like a $400 a week payment plan, right? Even knowing her lease is going to end of this month, right? And we're still going to be around $3,000 short. It was like, hey, just work with us, see if you can give us at least $400 a month, right? That's something we can do.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So, see everybody, not everybody's a slumlord. He's trying to work with them.
No, I care. I care about the people. I care.
Definitely.
Yeah, man.
Definitely, man. So, so where do things go from there? I know you have more going on now, and it's under a year.
Yeah.
So talk to us about how things have grown since then.
Okay. Well, after this first property, right, our goal was to get a property every single year, right? Because we realized we can use our FHA, right? Hopefully, let's say get 20% equity, right? Refinance out of the FHA, put that property in the LLC, and get another FHA a year later, right? Or since it's two of us, we were like, oh, I'll get an FHA, and then I have my business partner, Len Nezerford, he'll get his FHA, and then we'll own, let's say, 8 units, right? Like that'll be the max. And then we're like, oh, well, after we get those, then we'll refinance, and then we'll get another FHA a year later. We realized that was going to take forever. So we kind of got a little creative and pivoted, and thought it may be best for profit and also best to help the neighborhood and help communities by looking for value add opportunities, right? Looking for opportunities where we can go in and renovate, looking for opportunities where we can go in and develop residential real estate. So we took a few months after we closed on our property to research different markets and research the next up and coming market based off population, based off job growth, based off income, based off students, based off just a whole criteria. We identified our next market, which was in Philadelphia. We looked at Atlanta, Dallas, and Houston. Ended up choosing Philadelphia, not because it was 2 hours away from where we lived in Brooklyn, but because it fit the criteria perfectly, right? So from there, we looked at Philadelphia and turned towards hard money to leverage and look at some value add opportunities.
Gotcha. So was the first one pretty much turnkey?
Oh yeah, the first one was 3 units, completely renovated. So someone flipped it to us, right? And I mean, I'm sure he made quite a bit of money because I mean we offered around $20,000 over his ask price because there was there was like 3 to 4 offers on the table, so we wanted to make sure we secured it. So he walked away with a little penny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So walk us through Philly. Walk us through that first. Walk us through. And you have 2 properties there, right?
Yeah, 2 and 1 other contract, so technically 3.
Okay, got it. So walk us through the second one. You mentioned like hard money, so it seems like this is more complex. So can you walk us through the transaction?
The transaction.
Yeah, kind of like how you found the property and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I really have to commend and clap hands for my business partner here. He spent a lot of time going down to Philadelphia, building relationships with wholesalers and building relationships with brokers, mainly wholesalers, to be able to send us some off-market opportunities, right? Because when you're doing value add, fix and flip, and value add opportunities, you're not typically looking on the MLS, right? You're looking for wholesalers to send you off market deals. So I really have to give my hats off to my business partner for building these relationships and also having lenders and brokers in place. So when we do finish these properties, we can sell, right? Or we can refinance. Um, so
That's cool, man. That's cool. So was the first property, was it a multi-unit that you purchased over there?
so the first property is a one-story addition to a two-story row home in Philadelphia. As you mentioned before, you asked, how do we secure it? We use hard money, right? For hard money, they were offering 90% for the purchase price, so they'll come up with 90% of the purchase price, and then they'll also finance 100% of the rehab budget. So for us, we knew that, my business partner and I, we knew that we needed to come up with the 10% needed to close that gap between the 10% and the 90% that they're going to provide, that we're going to be financing, right? So we leveraged hard money to purchase a two-story row home, which came with plans and permits for a one-story addition, which would be 3 units in total. So each floor would have its own separate unit, which would be 1 bedroom, 1 bath each.
Got you. Yeah, so let's say I'm an investor, you're the hard money lender. How does that conversation even go? Like, how do we get to the point where it's like, all right, I'll give you 90% of the purchase price and 100% of the rehab? Like, what's in it for the hard money lender?
Yeah.
And what's in it for both parties?
No, of course. I mean, for us, invested capital, we typically try to stay all in at around 65%, right? What I mean by that is we typically like to stay our all-in cost, meaning our purchase plus our rehab amount, within 65% of the after repair value, right? So let's say the after repair value on a property is $500,000, right? We like to stay within 65% of $500,000, right? But the hard money lender, they kind of win off of this because, I mean, they'll charge something called points up front, right? So points could vary from, let's say, 2 to 3 points. When I say points, I mean percent, right? So they'll either charge 3% of the entire loan amount, right? So let's say your purchase is, follow me here, right? Let's say your purchase is $300,000, right? And your rehab is $200,000, right? You're all in to be $500,000, right? The hard money lender would charge you 3% of that entire loan amount, right? For example. They also, benefit from this is because they charge, rather high interest or higher interest than where you would find, let's say, private money. So they would charge, let's say, 13, 12%, maybe 11%. So they win because they get, first lien, and they also get charge points up front, and they also charge, rather, better interest. And we win because we can leverage a lot of leverage.
Definitely. So it's definitely riskier.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like what were some of your, I mean, obviously you vetted everything, you worked all the numbers out, you factored in all the costs, like you had a formula, you knew what you were doing. But was there still an element of, man, I hope this is the right idea. Like, was there an element of like fear, or were you at the point where, all right, we just gonna do this and it's gonna work out?
No, I mean the numbers. I mean, it's not. I learned early on, like, to remove the emotions, right? I mean, even from the first property, like, putting 25 offers out, and 10 of them are at ax, and you're not getting the deal. It's like I can either be emotional and be like, oh, this real estate stuff is not for me. Like, I'm upset, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, learning that early on, kind of removed the emotions away from this whole real estate deal. And I mean, once you run the numbers, man, I mean, it just sometimes it just makes sense, right? Like, if I'm all in on a project at, let's say, 60%, and I know when I'm done, I have banks that are going to refinance me at 75% or 80% if you find a good one. Then my spread, like that margin of, let's say, error, could be north of 15 to 20%, right? Because You know what I'm trying to say? It just kind of makes sense. Kind of allows you to sleep a little better at night.
Right.
In addition to raising capital, you know, and that's kind of where we pivoted towards. We're comfortable with the deals that we're investing on, so we said, hey, let's open the door and allow other people who don't have these same, you know, don't meet the criteria to secure this financing, to come in with us, right, and partner alongside of us with some of these deals, because we're comfortable, we're making profit. We want other people, and especially the community, to benefit from this as well.
Definitely. So you got the hard money secured, you got the property. Now, this is a pretty big development, rehab and so forth that you're doing compared to like a turnkey
Yeah.
from the first. So what's that transition like? Just when we were hanging out, you were talking to your developer. So
Yeah.
what's that been like? Just managing a project from a distance. I'm sure you go out there here and there, but what's that transition like? Just from being not as hands-on in this way
Yeah.
to there's a whole rehab and development taking place, and you two are managing.
Yeah, no, I mean, it feels amazing, man. I have to be completely honest. Like, I truly feel like I'm living in my gift and I'm moving in my gift. Like, this has been something I've been wanting to do, you know, since I was born. I mean, thankful for my mom and thankful for my parents, like, showing me real estate and driving me around at a young age. Like, my vision and goal, like, even entering college, even outside of college, was I want to develop communities, I want to develop high-rise condos. And, like, so for me to be hands-on now, it's just, I'm all in. Like, it feels good. It makes sense. The numbers make sense. Low risk. I sleep good.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then there are two properties you have out there, right?
Yeah. There's two properties that's currently being developed, and then there's one it's a lighter rehab.
Got it. So
Yeah.
for the second one, is it similar? Are you adding on another level as well?
Yeah. So that second one is also a two-story row home. It's a one-story addition. It came with the plans and permits. That project's a little bit more interesting. More recently, because there's a open land parcel that's connected and right next to the property there, and some developers were, you know, digging out the basement and digging out the foundation, and ended up digging a little too close to our property, and kind of compromised our structural sidewall there, which, you know, we had to tear it down, right? And that's something that we didn't plan to do, but our sidewalls is a little, it's compromised, and the city's requiring us to, you know, tear it down and build it back up. So essentially, it is the same project, but now it's become a little bit more interesting. But it's all a part of the game.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And did you have to find did you find your contractors, developers, and all that through networking, or did you have like referrals?
Yeah.
What was that process like? I know like for some people, a reason that they might be afraid to take on a larger project like this is because they might feel like, well, how am I supposed to find people who I can trust? You know, how am I supposed to know that this person can do the job?
Yeah.
What was that like? Just finding the right people for the project.
Finding the right person. I don't think there's never a right person until it's done, right? It seems like you have the best person in the seat, right? Until he disappears, and it's like, I thought this person was the best, right? But I mean, as far as finding the right contractor or great candidate, if you will, I would definitely advise everyone to look for referrals, right? Like, of course, we can all do our own research, and I suggest that we all do our own research potentially prior or after you get a referral. Of course, leading up to it could be amazing as well, but if you get a referral, typically from hard money lenders, they typically will have the best referrals because of the people that either one, they work with, exclusively, or two, they have clients that worked with these developers, right? And then they can recommend someone good because they also want you to finish your project so they can get paid, right? They don't want you to end up with someone that doesn't know what they're doing. So our general contractor or developer, if you will, he came from a referral from a hard money lender. And after you get a referral, we typically will ask for references, ask for his experience, and ask to go out to some of his current job sites and previous job sites.
Got it. So you definitely did your homework.
Yeah, definitely.
That's cool. So I would also like you to talk more about Vested Capital. I see you got the merch.
Okay.
I want to get more of those.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, talk to us more about Vested Capital.
Okay. So what Vested Capital is, we're a private equity fund, right? We raise private capital from investors, typically friends, family members, or people that we have a closeness relationship with, from, let's say, referrals, right? What we do is we raise capital and we secure value-add opportunities and secure development opportunities, and we typically will share the profit, right? So one will invest on a project or invest in the fund. We will then deploy that capital towards a development project, and then we'll either share the proceeds or split the equity with the projects as well. So yeah, I mean, the birth of Vested Capital was, I mean, we found that there are more returns and there's more opportunity that we can provide to people, and allow people to get in on real estate and get in on developments without necessarily having to sit in the front seat, right? We figured there are some doctors, there are some lawyers, there are some professionals that want a higher return than what they can get in the stock market. I mean, the stock market isn't performing well right now, right? They're looking to create a new asset class for themselves, right? And we're the best vessel for that, right? We offer very competitive returns, and we're just giving people more opportunity in what they can do with their capital. So yeah,
definitely. So a lot of people, social media is a highlight reel.
Yeah.
It
all looks good.
It's a highlight reel. It all looks good. Everything looks perfect. Not a lot of people talk about the loss. Not the loss. Not a lot of people talk about the challenges. Talk about the lessons learned. And again, just to remind everybody, it hasn't even been a year since you two have been investing.
No.
And I remember when we met and just having the conversations, and you talking about what you want to do in the future, and now you two are doing it. So I think it's incredible.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Anytime, man. You're welcome. But I would just love to hear more about some of the lessons learned, some of the challenges that you two have experienced in this short time.
For lessons, challenges, I would definitely say do your research and try to educate yourself as much as you can, and don't depend on like the developer, or don't depend on the general contractor to kind of like figure it out, or like just tell you what it should be, because you don't know, right? I would definitely say like a lesson is, don't go in as if you don't know everything, right? Because you can potentially, get taken advantage of in a way. I would also say like another lesson would be to have reserves. I know a few cases where we needed some extra capital for unexpected expenses, as us having to, demo our entire, structural wall. That's something that we didn't really necessarily put in the budget, because we had some other properties that we were securing, so we thought, oh, this project was going to go perfect. This project was, well, of course we know this was perfect, but we thought this project was going to, it was going to go well, right? We had some reserves stashed away for some hiccups, but tearing down a whole building that we just bought, we didn't think about that, right? So I'll definitely advise everyone to have some type of reserves, or have access to someone that has, can lend you that capital if needed, so you're not in a bind.
Definitely. Do you have any other entrepreneurial ventures that you're thinking about in addition to real estate, or are you kind of locked in on real estate right now?
I love real estate, man. I mean, currently, no, because Vested Capital is growing. Like we're bringing on, some great individuals, some pretty high net worth individuals. So we want to definitely make sure we nurture those relationships as much as we can. We don't like to really split our interests because we're handling, large amounts of capital on a daily, right? So we don't really like to split my interest too much, right? But I can speak as far as invested capital is like us showing interest in other endeavors would be in the long run, after we have, millions and millions of dollars in the fund, we do see ourselves lending out capital from invested capital to the community, and lending out capital to fund deals. So to allow people to do exactly what we're doing now, and also hold their hand in the process. So we want to definitely educate and lend capital.
Definitely. What are you, 25?
Yeah.
Crazy. I remember Yeah, we both sitting on that couch at that event in November, and I'm like, this guy's going places.
Thank you, man. Definitely humbled, man. I mean, when you don't come from much, man, you just kind of either you continue not to come from much because you tell yourself that, or I mean, somebody has to figure it out, man. I mean, yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. That means a lot.
For sure. It's a little off topic, but what was your experience like at Morehouse? You know, I went to a predominantly white institution. I didn't really know. I mean, I was just, I don't know. Like, no one I was around ever spoke about HBCUs. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't a thing, at least the people I grew up around. We heard about it like after school. You know, you go into the workforce. And you're like, oh yeah, I went to Howard. I went to this school. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
All black people at your school, really? So tell me more about that experience. What that was like.
Yeah, I mean, I must say, there's a pretty interesting background to this story. I didn't go straight to Morehouse, you know, out of high school. I actually went to Cal State Northridge. So before you,
CSUN. Okay.
Yeah, CSUN. Actually, interesting enough, ended up dropping out of CSUN for various reasons, not focused, right, and had no direction. You know, ended up working and doing security and you know, working at movie theaters and, you know, the whole nine, and ended up meeting an individual who opened opportunity for me to go to Morehouse, right? But at Morehouse, man, it's amazing. It's a great opportunity. I suggest any, you know, men that are graduating high school that are looking to figure out what college they should go to. I mean, there's no experience like Morehouse that you can buy, right? It's just being surrounded around black males in general, being surrounded around driven males in general, is just it's an amazing thing, man. I mean, wearing suits to class, being in class, business courses, right? Like not be able to, you can't even enter a classroom without a suit on, right? It just teaches, it just breeds a different caliber of men in general, right? I mean, just into that, the network is amazing. I mean, I can think of 3 to 4 to 5 millionaires, right, that graduated the class before me, right, like immediately. And that just shows you the type of access and caliber and just foundation that you built at the school. So if you're looking to go, you should definitely go.
Dang, I'm feeling like I missed out. I was going to class in sweatpants.
you here, man. You're doing an amazing job.
Definitely.
So you know, we all have a different path, but
definitely. What are some tips that you would give to someone who they're interested in real estate, but they're afraid? They feel like, you know, because of their background or because of the fact that maybe they don't know anybody in their close immediate network who even owns their own home.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to somebody in that situation? They have a desire, but they're kind of lost. They're kind of scared.
Yeah. I would honestly say use me as an example. I mean, it's not like I had it all figured out. I mean, I didn't have it all figured out. I graduated with student loan debt, over $100,000 worth of it, right? You know, my mom did buy her first house, but it's like, I still don't, you know, I have family that are in unfortunate situations, right? Like I don't have everything, right? And I mean, that's the reason why I did what I did, right? To be an example, right? I advise people who are lost. I advise people who don't have it figured out to reach out to me. And also reach out to other people that you may look up to. Like, ask to hear about their story, right? Hearing someone else's story can inspire you. If you know, if you don't have the example of it, you don't have the knowledge, well, I mean, watch a few YouTube videos, right? I mean, I stopped, you know, listening to rap music and hip hop music for months and strictly podcasts every single day, right? I mean, until it made sense, right? Like, when you want something bad enough, you want it, and you're gonna make it happen, right? I would say just don't use, you know, not having that exposure as an excuse. You know, like it has to start with you.
Sure.
It has to, yeah.
For sure. What were some of your go-tos, just as far as podcasts and YouTube channels, as you learned and as you got into this business? What were some things that kind of caught traction with you personally?
I would say the Bigger Pockets podcast. Yeah, and the Black Real Estate Dialogue.
You didn't have to do that.
No, but now, I mean, you're going crazy, man. But the Bigger Pockets podcast, man, I mean, they have over 100 episodes.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a day where, you know, you should not be listening to one, right?
Yep.
Like, there's enough, right? And you'll get a little bit from everything. I mean, I bought the wholesale books. I bought the syndication books. I bought the first time home buying books. Like you're just gonna take in everything, and then maybe you'll figure out your path, right?
Yeah.
For me, it was starting a fund, raising capital, private capital. We don't crowdfund, and deploying, right? For YouTube, I would say search what you want, right? How to invest in real estate, how to buy your first home, and watch all the videos, right? Like there wasn't like one person that I was like, oh, I'm strictly gonna listen to him. It was like, okay, this video popped up and I'm gonna watch it, right?
Yep.
And that's what I did. I mean, initially I started with the foundation of Bigger Pockets, and I clicked on every other video after that until it made sense.
Definitely. Man, this has been great. Is there anything you want to leave with our audience? Anything that you want to make sure people know, or anything else you want to share with us?
I would say just don't be afraid to network. I mean, I know initially, like me starting off, I was a little timid about reaching out to people who apparently like had like a big audience, or apparently was doing very well, and I didn't want to insert myself. I was being a little timid about asking them or bugging them because I didn't know something, right? I would definitely advise everyone to just dive in with people that you see are doing well and pick their brain, right? Like I would love to talk to people about this, right? Like I don't, people don't really remove them. So I'm not gonna remove myself, because I'm apparently doing well, right? I would definitely advise people to reach out to folks and seek direction, and also figure out your why. Like after you buy your first property, you have to have a deeper why to keep going, right? Like I don't want 10 to 50, 50,000 units for no reason, right? Like it has to be a deeper reason than just buying properties and taking pictures in front of it to look good, right?
Yeah.
Like once that headache hits, right? Like once that tenant messes up that place, it's like find a deeper why.
For sure. So where can people keep up with you? Where can people contact you? What would be the best ways for people to reach you?
I would definitely say Instagram, at Invest with MJ. And I also say Twitter. I'm a new Twitter user.
I got them on.
As of July, decided to insert myself. And that's also at Invest with MJ. The YouTube channel is pending. But Instagram and Twitter would be perfect. Sure. And then YouTube.
Sure. Cool, man. Well, appreciate you coming on. First live episode. Man, this is great. It's been a long time in the making, so glad we could do it. But yeah, everyone, thank you again for listening to another episode of the Black Real Estate Dialogue podcast. Look forward to hearing from you all soon.
Thank you.